Friends, before we get into the belated return, let us quickly sum up the consequential effects if you don't file your return before the due date. First thing what we found is, if we don't file our return before the due date, we are losing our right to carry forward the loss. Second is, we will be exposed to the 234A interest. But you should remember one point. Even if you don't file your return before the due date, you can well escape the 234A interest, provided all what tax you require to pay, if it is duly paid before, then what will happen? Automatically you will not be exposed for 234A interest. If there is some amount of the tax becomes payable which you have not paid, then if you are not filing your income tax return before the due date, then you will be exposed to the 234A interests. Then the third consequential effect is what? Penalty will be levied. Fourth consequential effect is what? Of course, when we start the assessment procedures, definitely they will ask you to file your income tax return under section 142(1) by issuing a notice, and even for that notice also you are not responding. What is the possible consequence? Your case can be well taken up for the best judgment assessment under section 144. And then if you don't file your income tax return before the due date, what will happen? The deductions and exemptions which are available to you under section 80I, AIB, and then your 10A, 10B, these things you are not getting a right to claim those benefits. With this summing up on consequences of not filing the return, let me move to the next return, that is belated return under section 139(4). What is it, friends? Belated return under section 139(4). See, belatedly I can file my return up to what time? Write down. A belated return may be furnished at any time before the expiry of 1 year from the end of the relevant assessment year, or before the completion of assessment, whichever is earlier. See, few noteworthy points here could be, you can listen. That is, when we say before the completion of the assessment, it could be a, what is it, scrutiny assessment under section 143(3), or what is it, best judgment assessment under section 144. Of course, sir, how come that, what is it, without my filing a return, case can be taken up for scrutiny assessment under section 143(3). in pursuance of a notice under section 142(1), if you are filing your return, then the scrutiny assessment will be. But other way around, the assessment for the purpose of this belated return, when we say it is best judgment assessment under section 144 only. What is that you are writing there? Read it out. That is, assessment here referred is only, what is it? Best judgment assessment under section 144. See, when we say belated return is to be filed, and what is the time up to which belated return can be filed is, belated return can be filed within 1 year from the end of the relevant assessment year or before the assessment getting completed. When we talk about that assessment does not include the regular assessment, that is a scrutiny assessment under 143(3), because for assessing officer to complete the scrutiny assessment under section 143(3), necessarily a return should have been filed. So when we talk about the assessment getting completed for this purpose, for the purpose of this particular belated return, it is best judgment assessment under section 144 is the point. Then friends, when we talk about the completion of the assessment, it means what? Date of passing or signing of the assessment order, and not the date of service of assessment order. There could be a gap between the date of signing of the assessment order by the assessing officer and the date of its being served to the SSC. All this you are supposed to learn so carefully. For what reason? Or other way around, for what reason these are being written with this much of the clarity? I am not filing my return of income. Case is taken up for the best judgment. I am not cooperating. Based on the information which the assessing officer was able to get, he completed the assessment. I came to know that he completed the assessment and signed that particular, what is it, assessment order. Before it being served to me, I am hurriedly rushed up and filed my return. Now I say that I have already filed my return before the assessment, on the presumption that the assessment gets concluded only when the assessment order is being served on me. So you can't take up the case under section 144 like that people may say. That's the reason why it is stated that, that is, when we talk about the completion of the assessment, signing of the assessment order, not the date of servicing of the assessment order. Then the possible issues which we can discuss here are, let us suppose for a particular assessment year, no return of income has been filed, no assessment has been made under section 144, up to what time can the SSC file the return of income? What is it, friends? That is, as no return has been filed and no assessment has been completed. Up to what time he can file the return? जब चाहिए तब कर सकते हो? No, because the section clearly states it is within 1 year from the end of the assessment year or before the assessment gets completed, whichever is earlier. That is, for 2009 and 10 financial year, what is the assessment year? 10 and 11. From the end of the relevant assessment year means 31st March 2011 is the end. From that end 1 year means what? 31st March 2012. Uske baad you can't file your, what is it, return. That is the reason why at any point of time, how many returns can be filed? 2. At any point of time, I can file two returns. Because now what is the financial year? 2010 and 11. 2010 and 11. Today I decided to file my returns. So far I am not filing any return. Today I want to file my return. For which years I can file my return? Yes. Undoubtedly I can file my 2009 and 10 financial year return. Because 2009 and 10 क्या हुआ दोस्तों? Assessment year is 10 and 11. Assessment year itself not yet completed. I can very well file the return related to the financial year 2009 and 10. Can I file the income tax return of 2008 and 9 financial year? Yes. 2008 and 9 financial year, what is the assessment year? 8 and 9 का assessment year क्या होगा? 9 and 10. 9 and 10 assessment year got completed when? 31st March 2010. From there 1 year means what? 31st March 2011. So 8 and 9 financial year return I can file. 9 and 10 financial year I can file. Can I file 7 and 8? No. Because 7 and 8 financial year, assessment year is 8 and 9. From there 1 year means 9 and 10. 31st March 2010 हो गए ना? अब I can't file that particular return. So maximum I can file 2 returns only, which are valid returns. Some student says, sir, in our office we filed for a particular SSE 5 returns at a time. 5 returns at a time. कैसे कर सकते? हम करें सर. And you are saying theoretically only 2 returns can be filed, but we have filed 5 returns. They gave the acknowledgement also, sir. अच्छा? कैसे दिए? पैसे लिए दिए बस. पैसे लिए दिए. But please do remember, only for the 2 years they might have given the correct acknowledgement. दूसरा का क्या है? They might not have given it. Even if some peon or the clerk there gives it also, that does not make these returns to be valid returns. दोस्तों, इनकम टैक्स डिपार्टमेंट इज सच ए डिपार्टमेंट, आप जाके दिए तो full information it will take, because nobody feels like rejecting an information. So they will take the information. But for you to later on say that I have filed the return, it is possible for you to say only up to how many returns you can file. At any point of time you can file 2 returns. One is the current just concluded financial year return and one more previous year return. Because belatedly you can file the return up to 1 year from the end of the relevant assessment year or before the completion of your assessment. And for the purpose of this particular section, assessment means assessment under section 144. And then friends, another issue, सुन लो. For a particular financial year, no return has been filed. The assessing officer passes the assessment order under section 144 on 31/12/2009. That is for the assessment year 2008 and 9. Assessment year 2000, let us suppose for the assessment year 2009 and 10. For the assessment year 2009 and 10, the assessing officer completed the best judgment assessment on 31/12/2010. The said order is issued on 2/1/2011 and is received by the SSC on 5/1/2011. And the SSC has filed the return of income for the assessment year 2009 and 10 on 1/1/2011. When this assessing officer is signing on 31/12/2010, and this SSC is filing the return on 1/1/2011. Will it make a sense? Just now we have discussed. Don't say that I have got a right to file the return up to 1 year from the end of the relevant assessment year. Before that only, in case if your best judgment assessment got completed under section 144 and best judgment assessment order is signed, the moment it is being signed, you are losing your right to file your return belatedly. Even if still 1 year from the end of the relevant assessment year is not yet completed. Even if that assessment order is not serviced on you, the moment best judgment assessment got completed and the assessing officer signed it, you are losing your right to file your return, even if 1 year is not elapsed from the end of the relevant assessment year. So these are the important things which you should remember. Now I move to the next interesting return, a revised return. Revised return is being done with in which section? 139(5). Make a note, revised return under section 139(5). Revised return under section 139(5). Friends, please do remember, just like belated return, a revised return can also be filed. What is the time limit? Within 1 year from the end of the relevant assessment year or before the completion of the assessment, whichever is earlier. What is it? A revised return can also be filed before the end of 1 year from the relevant assessment year, or what is it? Before the completion of the assessment. Yes. Many interesting issues will be here. See, understanding is one thing and remembering is the other thing. That's the reason why what I am saying, both belated return as well as revised return, time limit within which it can be filed is the same. But conceptually, what is a revised return? Conceptually, what is a revised return? When you can file a revised return, बच्चों का खेल है क्या? नहीं. कुछ गलत हुआ, रॉन्ग स्टेटमेंट दिए, आप उसको करेक्ट करने के लिए आप रिवाइज रिटर्न डाल रहे. बट जो रॉन्ग स्टेटमेंट जो है, जिसको आप करेक्ट करना चाहिए थ्रू रिवाइज रिटर्न, that must not be something which willfully you have done. Only to correct such omissions and wrong statements which happened unintentionally without willful, that can only be revised through revised return. And once you file your revised return, what will happen, friends? It will take the form of the original return. The moment you file the revised return, your original return will lose its status and your revised return will get the status of the original return is the point. And what is another important aspect is what can be revised is only what you filed before the due dates. So two returns cannot be revised. One is, what is it? A belated return. It cannot be revised. Similarly, return which you filed for block assessment, that can also be revised is the point. So what is the consequential effects of not filing the return before the due date? If somebody asks, there one point is, if you don't file the return before the due date, if you file it belatedly, you are losing your right to revise that particular return, is what your answer should be. Write down, friends, important points with respect to the revised return. Point number 1, revised return can be filed. Revised return can be filed within 1 year from the end of, within 1 year from the end of relevant assessment year, or before the completion of the assessment, or before the completion of the assessment, whichever is earlier, whichever is earlier. Then second important point, the revised return substitutes the original return, from the date the original return was filed, from the date original return was filed. Belated return under section 139(4) and block assessment return cannot be revised. Then how many number of times you can revise? N number of times you can revise. What is it? N number of times you can revise, provided the revised return is filed before the date specified therein. But every time, please remember, it's not a child's play. Whatever that you are doing through revised return, to correct a particular omission or a wrong statement, it must not be a willful omission or a wrong statement. Because theoretically a question like this can be argued in a different way, but practically there will be so many problems when you are filing your revised return. Some student was asking a question, sir, I know that I got a loss, but books are not yet prepared. So what I did is, with the 10 rupees of income, I filed the return before the due date. क्या करें? 10 rupees of the income, I filed my return before the due date. Subsequently, सब information accumulate करके loss return I filed after the due date for filing the return in the revised manner. Can such loss be carried forward? Theoretically, yes. Theoretically, the answer is yes. Because you filed your return before the due date. And you file your last return after the due date by making a revision. And this revised return will take the, place of the original return. So there is no problem. But because it is stated like this in a classroom environment, don't give these kind of advices to your clients. Always you should work as an extended arm of income tax department. You should always be a taxman without in any way giving an impression that you are unnecessarily making the SSE to pay too much of the taxes. Don't give at any point impression to the department that you are anti-department person. Our advisors should never put anybody at a later date to an inconvenience. So try to understand the purposive intent of the law. Don't defeat the purposive intent of the law. Then if you feel intelligent, there are a number of the people who have got more intelligence than you. And department is one who has got many ways by which it can trouble the moment you are trying to defeat the purposive intents. Write down. That is any number of times, return can be revised, but such a revised return must be filed before completion of the assessment or 1 year from the end of the relevant assessment year, whichever is earlier. See friends, let us suppose I got an income of 10 lakhs. I filed my return with 5 lakhs before the due date, and subsequently I am filing my revised return for 10 lakhs. Yes, I can do so, but with a rider. What is it? If I do like that, I can't escape penalty for concealment of the, income. Of course, you will be studying in detail penalties and prosecutions, but willfully you are not disclosing properly in your original return, and subsequently you file your revised return, and through revised return you are increasing your income. Penalty for the concealment of the income shall be levied on the additional income which you are offering through revised return. Of course, before they detect, if you voluntarily come forward, many a times penalty proceedings can be well withdrawn or waived. But this caution you should keep in your mind. So, the important aspects we completed with respect to the revised return, and with the point that one more important point, just make notes. Loss declared in return filed, in pursuance of notice, under section 142(1), cannot be carried forward, Similarly, what is it? A loss return filed belatedly, will not give a right to carry forward the loss. Here, one issue came, like, see, you filed a return. What is it? You filed a return. And Income Tax Department is taking up your case for scrutiny under section 143(2). They issued the notice under section 143(2). Then you file your revised return. Because assessment not yet completed, only notice is issued to you to take up your case for scrutiny. Can you do so? And can offer the additional income through your revised return? Yes, friends, I can do. Write down. If the income is increased in the revised return, furnished after the receipt of notice, under section 143(2), but before the completion of the assessment, then revised return is valid. Provided it is furnished before the expiry of 1 year from the end of a relevant assessment year. However, penalty for concealment shall be levied on additional income declared in the revised return. Declared in the revised return. So that is a most important thing. That is a most important thing to remember. क्योंकि penalty जब होगा, if they found that what you have omitted through your original return and they issued a notice to take up your case for regular assessment, subsequently you are making a revised return, one can very well say that there is a willful omission, willful wrong statement. That really creates a problem. Let us suppose you are not getting any 143(2) notice. You revised and offered the additional income on your own. And you tried to correct a wrong statement or a omission which is not willful. You will not get any penalty. But after they started a process of assessment, आप जाके रिवाइज रिटर्न डाल के उसमें एडिशनल इनकम दिए तो if it can be proved that this revised return is made well within the time limit permitted, but however what they are trying to do through the revised return is not a willful omission, it is a willful omission and is a willful wrong statement in the original return, then very well penalty can be, what is it, well levied on you. So with this care you have to look at the revised return. Then friends, I move to the next important aspects. 139(4)(a), return of income of charitable and religious institutions. Yes, nowadays stringent provisions are coming because government feels that enough of the charity. In the name of charity, we should not encourage black money to get safeguarded against the tax. See, originally the number of restrictions on charitable institutions are less. But if in every alternative house, if there is a charitable institution, then the problem comes. Why for charitable institutions income is exempted? Because who has to do the charity? Government has to do the charity. What is charity? The definition of the charity given under the income tax law is, that is giving education, medical relief and relief to the poor and to do any other object of general public utility. करोड़ों लोगों को चैरिटी करना बोले तो गवर्नमेंट के पास जो मशीनरी और मनी इज देयर, दैट मे नॉट बी सफिशिएंट इनफ. That made really the government to think about outsourcing the charitable activity to the private institutions and societies and trusts, and thereby encouraging them to do it by saying that income gets exempted. But later on the experience is that in the name of charity people are trying to safeguard their black money. That made really us to put so many stringent provisions. One such stringent provision is, if you are a charitable institution or a religious institution, and if you have got income, before claiming that particular exemption, then please necessarily, what is it? Get your accounts audited and please file your income tax return. ताकि क्या होगा दोस्तों, we will check whether really it is a charitable activity, really whether income is applied for charitable purpose or not. That made the law to say that necessarily these charitable institutions need to file their income tax return before the due date in case they have got the income before claiming the exemption under section 11 and 12 is the point. And one more important thing, if you are a charitable institution, if you don't file your income tax return before the due date, then you will be liable for a penalty of ₹100 per day for every day during which the failure continues. That is the reason why if you go on October 6th to file the return for a charitable institution, आप कितने additional amount you have to pay, 600 penalty pay करके गए तो ही उन्होंने रिटर्न लेते, नहीं तो नहीं ले रहे, क्योंकि this is not something optional kind of thing, it's a mandatory penalty. For every day, what is it? 100 rupees under 272A. And if you don't file, automatically the consequential effect is what? Your case can be well taken up for the best judgment. Assessment is the point. Right? Two sentences. 139(4)A. Return of income by charitable or religious institutions. They need to file the return. They need to file the return before the due date. Before the due date under section 139(1). Before the due date under section 139(1). If they got income before claiming the exemption under section, before claiming the exemption under section 11 and 12. And what is the due date, friends? For all charitable institutions, the due date will be 30th September. How come? Because those institutions, whether they are in the trust format or society format or a company format, require to get their accounts audited. Because 30th September due date, when you studied what you said, any SSC whose accounts are to be audited either under the income tax law or under any other law need to file their return by 30th September. So it goes without saying, charitable institutions due date for filing the return is 30th September is the point. Then friends, write down one more point. If a return is not filed within the due date, then a sum of ₹100 per day, a sum of ₹100 per day need to be paid for every day, during which failure continues. Failure continues. Who said so, friends? 272A. 272A says so. Of course, the ultimate thing that may happen is what? If you don't file return at all, either before the due date or in pursuance of a notice, then automatically best judgment they can do. And of course, for charitable institutions, For them to claim the exemptions and all, necessarily they have to file the return before the due dates. So you should be very careful. Then friends, section 139 4b talks about the return of income by political party. Just for continuation of thought and listening, write down section 139 4b, return of income by political party. Return of income by political party. Friends, try to understand. Political party income gets exempted under section 13. So before claiming the exemption under section 13A, section 13A, if they got the income, then it need to necessarily file its return of income before the due dates. Friends, try to understand, if any part of the income of the political party need to be taxed, it must be taxed like what? It must be taxed like as if that political party is an individual. Similarly, friends, your charitable institutions, societies and trusts, they have done something and their income is accessible, then their income will be accessible as if it is an individual. Got the point? Now, of course, even a political party need to get its accounts audited. So naturally, what will be the due date? Due date will be 30th September only is a point. Then we have got 139 4C, write down. 139 4C, return of income. Return of income. Of certain specified institutions. Try to understand, friends. There are a number of institutions which are enjoying exemption of income, like Scientific Research Association. Under clause 21 of section 10, it gets the exemption. News agency gets the exemption under section 10, clause 22b. Similarly, under 1023A, certain associations and institutions are getting exemptions. Under 1023B, there are some institutions which are getting exemption. Under 1023C, educational institutions and hospitals, these are getting exemption. Trade unions are getting exemption under clause 24 of section 10. All these institutions which are enjoying the exemption under these respective sections necessarily need to file their return of income under section 139(1) before the due date. So, what is most important? If you are claiming a benefit, necessarily you have to file your income tax return. Only when you file your income tax return, it gives an opportunity for the assessing officer to check whether these institutions are really satisfying the conditions subjected to which the exemption is granted is a point. Because income tax law just like that will not give any exemption. It gives the exemption subjected to some conditions. Naturally, unless you file your income tax return, it is not possible for the income tax department to check you are eligible for exemption or not. So that made the department, the income tax law, to say that all these institutions need to necessarily file their income tax return, and all these institutions, just like charitable institutions, if they fail to file the return before the due date, for every day during which such failure continues, they will be liable for a penalty under section 272A. That is 100 rupees for every day during which this particular default continues. Then friends, there are certain institutions like our Nizam's Institute of Medical Sciences in Hyderabad. wherein they get lots and lots of money for research. And once it is a scientific research institute or a university or a college, they got, what is it, section 35, that is the people who donates the money to them gets deduction against their business incomes. So those institutions which are declared to be scientific research institutions, universities and colleges, which are more particularly being covered by 35, section 35, they also need to file their return of income before the due date is appointed. Of course, friends, under 139(4)(d), if they don't file the return before the due date, there is nothing like a penalty under section 272A is there, but 271F is there. 271F is what? Generally, if you don't file your return, then 5,000 rupees of the penalty is what we have discussed, that is there for these institutions. But 272A, specific penalty for non-compliance, is not there. This is one important point you have to remember. Then friends, the last aspect is a defective return. What is it? Defective return. What is defective return, friends? What is not effective? How to make a return effective? What all they are saying that you are supposed to do, if you do, it becomes effective. If you don't do, that becomes a defective. This defective return is being discussed under section 139(9). But try to understand, friends, all people are not expected to have the complete knowledge of the income tax law. A person may not go to a chartered accountant or income tax practitioner. उन्होंने अपने आप जाके इनकम टैक्स रिटर्न डाले, उसमें कुछ डिफेक्ट है तो उसको तुरंत इनवैलिड रिटर्न बनाना गलत है. Because we are living in a democratic country. And principles of natural justice, opportunity of being heard, these are all very much well established things here. In a daylight, if somebody shoots the Prime Minister of India, Indira Gandhi, in this great nation of India, where people has got lot of patience, we don't punish the culprit immediately. We will allow him to live for 10 years to establish the fact that he has really killed. Because we live on the principles of natural justice and the, what is it, opportunity of being heard. तो कुछ defect है तो भी department need to inform to the SSC that this is the defect we found, kindly rectify it. And if such a rectification is not happening within 15 days, the time specified there, then it becomes a defective return. Once it becomes a defective return, it becomes an invalid return. Once it becomes invalid return, as if it is that you have not filed the return at all. Now, naturally, you feel like understanding under what circumstances a return becomes defective. See, you have to file your return in a prescribed format by filling all annexures. You are filing the return in a wrong form or not completing all annexures, then that is one cause for us to say your return is a defective. Similarly, computation statement is not complete. Proofs of tax are not being given. At this juncture, please try to understand. Earlier, they are all bulky returns, other way around. Because so much of the proofs are to be attached. Today we are living in a world of paperless. So, आज के दिन क्या है? There is no need for you to attach all the things, but you have to keep it in your file, ready whenever they ask. You have to produce it. Earlier TDS certificate, if it is not attached, we used to say it is defective. Today there is no need for attaching. But only thing is, please remember, even if you don't give that details of the TDS, within 2 years you should provide. So the point here is a statement showing computation of tax payable, proof of tax, and it is well provided, which is very important from the examination point of view. Where return is not accompanied by a proof of tax, if any claimed to have been deducted or collected at source, the return of income shall not be regarded as defective if the certificate of tax deducted or collected was not furnished to the person furnishing his return of income. Such a certificate is provided within a period of 2 years specified under section 155(14), that is within 2 years from the end of the relevant assessment year. So all this discussion should make you to understand that even if you are not able to provide the proof of it, of the TDS and the tax paid, it can be well given within 2 years from the end of the relevant assessment year. Similarly, in case regular books of accounts are maintained by the SSC, then copies of manufacturing account, trading account, profit and loss account, income and expenditure account, balance sheet, in case of a partnership, personal accounts of the partners, in case of the AOP BOI, personal accounts of the members, in case of the proprietary concern, capital account of the proprietor, all these information should be given. Where the accounts have been audited, then the copies of the audited profit and loss account and the balance sheet and auditor's report. If there is a cost audit done, then that cost audit report. Then where the books of accounts are not maintained, a statement showing the amount of the gross turnover, receipts, profit, expense, all these details, a statement should be given is a point. And if the defect is found, they will inform to you, they will intimate to you, and after their intimation, the defect must be rectified within a maximum period of 15 days or such an extended time which is permitted by them. If you don't do that, then the return becomes invalid and becomes a void ab initio. So with that we completed the different types of returns of income, which we call them as a voluntary returns.